students of theater. This video is going to be the guidelines for recording your monologue. So I'm just going to step through those guidelines. There are also written guidelines, written versions of this video online for you. I'm just creating this video so that there's some things that are just easier to see in video form than to see like written on a page. So I thought I would help you out with that. So first of all, you're required to perform your monologue. And when you perform your monologue for this project, all your lines must be memorized, verbatim, word for word, with total commitment and gusto. You shouldn't be reading them off the screen. You shouldn't having to be looked down at a script. I want them all fully memorized and then performing specifically for the camera. Right now, I'm looking directly at my lens, wherever it is. If I look over here, I see the image of myself talking to myself. If I look over here, I see some of my notes. But what we want to do is look at the camera lens as we're performing. What you want to also do is make sure that you are in costume that is appropriate for your performance. Ultimately, it's clothing that you would wear to an audition. Usually what you try to do is you try to dress up a little bit. You would dress up in clothing that is like what you might wear if you were going to go visit a significant other's parents for the first time and you were trying to impress them. So you might wear something like that. You might also decide to dress for the part, you know. So, you know, if, for instance, you're doing the Crucible, you know, certainly you don't have full-on sort of pilgrim wear in your closet, and you're not expected to buy that kind of outfit for an audition. But what you might do is say, hey, these people are more conservative, so I might get like a nice light colored shirt and I might button it all the way up to here, so that, oh, look, I look a little more conservative. Or, you know, if it's a character that is like a rebel, you know, I might like choose to have an outfit that's a little more open and relaxed and that kind of thing, you know, that might be a little bit more relaxed. Now, this isn't really rebel. This is like some casual guy. You know, maybe a t-shirt might be better, something like that. So those are your two choices. You either want to dress up, you dress for as if you're like trying to impress somebody, like impress a significant other's parents, or you want to dress for the part. That being said, we don't want to go that far in dressing for the part. Like, we don't want pilgrim wear. If you're auditioning for Barney the dinosaur, you're probably not going to bring a full-on Barney outfit, that kind of thing. You will use your either a webcam video or your cell phone camera to record your video. That was a requirement of our course in the original description of the course, so you should be able to have all that technology. The camera lens should really be positioned at eye height. What I'm doing right now, it's not bad. It could be better. Certainly, we don't want to have something like this, you know, where like I'm above it, talking like down like this. And we certainly don't want to be really sort of high up like this, right? What we want to do is relatively eye height. Now, this is actually okay. This would be acceptable, what this is at. It's not that much further lower than where my eye is. But that being said, I did find an old Trivial Pursuit game box. And so I'm just going to take my camera, take my laptop, because I'm doing mine on my laptop, and put it on, put it on, and that's pretty good. That's still even a little bit below my eyesight, so I could probably even go a little higher. You definitely don't want to go above, you don't want to go above your eye line, all right? So going up here is starting to get a little high. But like here, this is not so bad. This is not so bad where this is at. So there's something you want to think about, is where the actual camera lens is in relationship to your eye. I'll probably just go ahead and leave it right here so that it's a little more helpful. Let's see, what else? You want to frame yourself in the shot. So the camera box is what we call the shot. You want to frame yourself in the shot so that you're doing a close-up shot or a medium shot. You want to avoid an extreme close-up. So what we don't want, I don't know if I can even do this, is we don't want one of these, right? We don't want one of these. And likewise, we probably don't want to be, I mean, I don't even think I can get far enough away to do, oh, you're gonna see me in my shorts, so sorry. You don't wanna like get way far away. I mean, actually, if we're in a waist high situation, that's probably okay. But that being said, this is pretty good, you know. This is a pretty good amount of space for us to have to play with, so I can gesture if I want to gesture, and I can sort of still you can still see my face pretty well, all that kind of stuff. There is a link in the video, or I'm sorry, in the document, the guidelines document, that you can go to, and it's just another guy who is showing you how to set up your shot so you look good. And so that it looks nice and professional. This is the same process that professional actors use for setting up their auditions. The next thing you want to think about is you want to make sure that you can record in a nice, quiet location in front of a neutral background. So this space is pretty quiet. There's not a lot of, I don't have a lot of people outside around me making a lot of noise. If I had roommates, what I might do is I might ask them to be quiet for 30 minutes while I record my video. And then of course, we have this nice gray background. I'm sort of fortunate. I happen to have this gray wall behind me. So my face, which is more pinkish, and I have a dark hair, and that really pops away from that background really well. And it's not white, so it's so blindingly white. That being said, a lot of your bedrooms and your homes are probably going to be white, so that's okay. You'll just struggle with that. So this is a great neutral background. There's not a lot of activity. I'm just going to show you a big crazy painting. You can see that there's, like, I wouldn't really perform in front of that crazy thing because that's going to distract from my, video. Yeah. The other thing that's interesting about this is that this doesn't blend into my background, which is good. I have gray shirts, and if we wore a light gray shirt, I might blend in a little bit. So this pops away from it pretty nicely. The other thing is, I would encourage you to perform your video during the daytime when there's natural light sort of bouncing around the room, perhaps facing a window. That's what I'm doing right now. I have a window directly in front of me. You might even be able to see a little bit of that window in my glasses. So I have a window that's right there. It's a really cloudy day at this moment. I also have my overhead light on as well, so that I've got some bouncing of natural light, and then I've also got this sort of overhead light coming on me as well. So I'm getting a lot of light on my face. Usually what I do is I just keep that light off, and then when there's a lot of light out there outside the house, and I keep that light off, and there's usually plenty of light in the room just to light yourself beautifully. So yeah, but do avoid direct sunlight. You do want to avoid the direct sun. That might be too harsh. We want the light to be soft and bouncy as you are lighting yourself in your video. You want to avoid moving in and out of the frame. Does that make sense? So like as you're like performing your monologue, and like, wow, it's hard to get out of this frame, but like, you know that you're jumping up and you're coming down and like whatever. We want to avoid moving in and out of the frame. Your stage is this little square that we are in. Does that make sense? So do make sure that you try to stay in there. A little trick that might be helpful, because sometimes we forget, is you might even put a little X on the floor. Like you got a little bit of tape or something, you put an X on the floor so you know, this is where I'm going to stay. This is where I'm going to perform my entire monologue. At the beginning of your audition, you're going to want to introduce yourself. So you're going to want to begin and say, hello, my name is, then you say your name. I'll be performing a monologue from the play entitled whatever the play is. All right, that's how you will do that. So you have that little introduction. We usually call that slating. When you are out as a professional actor and you're about to perform your monologue, you usually slate, and that slate includes your name and the piece that you're doing, right? You want to choose a focal point for your monologue, which is either going to be the camera lens, like talking directly into the lens, or is going to be like 2 inches to the right or to the left of the lens. So here I am looking at the camera lens. I could act as I'm looking at that lens, or I could look a little bit off, just like 2 inches off. Sometimes looking at the camera lens is rather intense in terms of like making a connection with the viewer. And sometimes you want it just to be a little bit different, you know, and not so intense. And so we just go 2 inches off. In a professional audition, they might even tell you, don't look at the lens or look a little off. So one of those two is probably what you would do. When you finish your last line, you're going to want to hold that line. You're going to want to hold that moment. Usually what that moment is it's filled with some kind of thinking, or it's some sort of physical action or that kind of thing, right? So you want to finish your last line, and that's what I think about you. And then what you do is that you say thank you. All right. Now, the way that you can end the video or start the video, ideally you would go into a video editing software, and you would clip off the first little bit before you say hello, my name is, and you would clip off the little and before you walk into the shot, and you would also clip off the end as you exit the shot. That might be a little difficult right now as you're beginning to do this kind of work of recording your video. So for now, it'll be okay if you walk into the shot and say, hello, my name is, and that at the end, after you said thank you, you can walk out of the shot and then turn off the camera. Good. Yeah, I think that's about it. Those are all my notes. Feel free to send any questions my way or put questions in the course questions forum of the discussion board forum site. Yeah, I think that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Feel free to send questions my way, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.